So it's just taking it from our seasons out to seeing the stars and the constellation and putting it in place and having the dials properly aligned to each other. Wow. But just seeing it clearly makes a difference. When you're trying to imagine it, if you're just doing a chart with houses on it, you're trying to imagine the signs, imagine the constellations, it's filling up your mind with a lot of trying to analyze things. You don't have to. It's right there as a picture. You can see it. You just have to realize everything does have a meaning, and we have to expand to come to fathom this a little bit more as we go along. So here, the Libra, tropical southern hemisphere Libra is run by the fish. Maybe that's really an overly romantic side. The northern hemisphere Aries is ruled by the fish. Northern hemisphere Taurus, it's got the ram, but the southern hemisphere Scorpio is overhead with the ram. Well, that's perhaps a more explosive or intense factor, more active factor. Tropical Gemini, northern hemisphere Gemini, it's got the bull. I mean, I don't want to say it, the northern hemisphere Geminis would be full of bull, but they have the bull there. Donald Trump is Gemini. So anyways, we'll leave it there. Southern hemisphere Sagittarians will have the bull. Okay, so I don't look for a heavy intellectual connection. I look for a more intuitive connection between the two and try and get some sense. If I get a sense where I thought, oh, maybe that's this. And I leave it like that. I don't have to have the definition of the constellation so specific. The presence is there. Adding on to everything is another layer to add on. And if you want to check it out, just as we have our worksheets and we did daily increasing, nightly increasing, then you can say, well, it's in this sign. Does that make any sense? This sign's supposed to mean this constellation means this. Can I relate to that at all? And you can add another. This, for me, I see it like this. You can make your own worksheet for this to check it out. Okay. So we have tropical Cancer has the twins. Southern hemisphere Cancer, Capricorn has the twins. Northern hemisphere Leo has the crab and the Leo. Southern hemisphere Aquarius has the crab and the Leo. Okay, so you see here the playfulness of the northern hemisphere Leo. Maybe the southern hemisphere Aquarius is a little more playful than the southern hemisphere Leo, which has all the Capricorn things in it. I don't know. I'm just making this, just making some links between the two of them. It's a vast high level to think of these. Then you have the southern hemisphere Pisces having the lion and the Virgin in it, and the northern hemisphere Virgo having that. Okay, and here in the southern hemisphere as the Leo, as the Regulus went into Virgo, in the northern hemisphere it's in Pisces. In the southern hemisphere it's in Pisces. Okay, so that's basically my exposition, expose of the 3 zodiacs. But now, yeah, I should have done this, and I'm sorry, I haven't taught this in a while. Here's the Alice Bailey's Labors of Hercules and the table of content. So the capture of the man-eating mares. There's a myth. There's the meaning of the myth, the zodiac sign, and the signs of the mind. So the odd thing with Alice Bailey is she has her own esoteric astrology. So the myths and that are all fine. The signs in her version of astrology, which is going off the sidereal, she changes the rulerships of the signs to other things, and it's not accepted anywhere else except within her teachings. But still, even though it's contradictory to what we're working with, it's still a worthwhile read to read through these, especially the myth and the meaning of the myth and the sign of the. So it goes through. Then the labor too is to capture the Cretan bull. The meaning of the labor goes into these things, and it's about the disciple and sex. Okay, so each one is Hercules is going through the labors. Hercules is the soul or the disciple and having to go through these stages in his life, and each human being is supposed to go through each of the stages of the zodiac. And that's an ancient teaching passed on for many thousands of years, and we can tap into it this way. It's enough that the teachings are just there. You hardly have to make it that personal, but there is some personal affinity from your chart. Gemini is the gathering of the golden apples of the Hesperides. It talks about the nature of it and what it implies. Cancer is the capture of the doe or the hind. Leo is the slaying of the Nemean lion. comes up. And they add a numerology factor into this too. The seizing of the girdle of Hippolyte, that's the Virgo one. And Libra would be the capture of the Erymanthean boar, and it goes through it. Then Scorpio is the destroying of the Lernaean hydra. Sagittarius, the killing of the Stymphian birds. So each time Hercules has a test and a labor, and it has mystical implications to represent how the soul has to fight through human experiences to gain enlightenment. Capricorn is the slaying of Cerberus, the guardian of Hades. Labor 11, cleansing of the Augean stables for Aquarius. The capture of the red cattle of Geryon is for Pisces. So it just interprets in a very different way than we have. It adds another frequency. It's a really worthwhile read. That's a little more mystical, spiritual. So, yeah, different frequency. Those of you in the webinar, I'll be sending you this tonight. Okay. Now, we're going to look at the ages, the age of Aquarius specifically, but we're going to start. So, okay, so this is the same type of charts. They're just made a little bit more closer, more involved. Now I do them in Photoshop, but these ones were done in AutoCAD years ago. And a friend named Vic Lee helped me make the drawings and make them rotate and work to be able to do this. But here, the inner arrow, this is 1922 BC. When the spring equinox, here's this inner arrow between Aries and Pisces, is pointing to, you know, you can't see it in the stars, but in the constellations in the band, this a bit bigger. Yeah, you can see it's pointing to the sidereal Aries. It's going from sidereal Taurus into sidereal Aries. So this is entering in the sidereal Aries, but it's going from Taurus into, it's going from the bull. It's still in the constellation of Taurus, of the bull, but it's moving into, so the siderealists would say this was the beginning of the age of Aries, age of the ram. 1922 BC. I could have gone back further, but I just set this. So now, what happened here? Went from there. I missed one. Where is it? Okay, so I'm missing one here. I did it, but somehow it got left out. So the next one would move this over. You see where the last star of Pisces, of Aries, is the ram. This is the beginning of the concept of sidereal Aries. If you move about 5 degrees forward, you see this dotted line coming into the first star at the bottom of Aries, going this way. So when it touches the first star of Aries, that's about 500 years later. 400 or 500 years later. Okay, I don't have that here. It's about 600, I think, BC. But the next one will jump to the end of the Aryan, the end of the constellation. So the age of Aries, sidereally, it's going to go from this point, 1922 BC, for 2,100 years. So it would go up to, goes up to 259 or something in AD. But really, it actually would start, the age of Aries, to my mind, would actually start when the spring equinox touches the first star of Aries. And that would be about 628 or somewhere around there. That's the one I'm missing. So now this one shows the spring, the equinox, and it's touching the last star in Aries. It's just finished going through all the stars in Aries, and it's just touching the last star in Aries. So in the constellations, this is the last 378 BC. This is the end of the last star in the ram, of the constellation of the age of the golden ram, or the age of the slaughtering of the ram, the sacrifice of the lamb. But that ended in 378 BC. Now, but sidereally, it's still in the age of Aries, because it's another 500 years before it gets to go into, well, it's a lot longer than that before it goes into the sidereal Pisces. Okay, so there's 3 steps as you're going along here. These arrows are pointing to the last star in Aries. But then if you look on the inside, it's going to go along, oh, there's a line there going to the first star in Pisces, constellation Pisces, goes a little bit further, and there's the beginning of the sidereal sign of Pisces. Okay, this moves 1 degree every 72 years. So as you're going along, there's a debate as to, I think the age of Aries ended when it touched the last star in Aries. But the siderealists will say, oh no, it's gone on till it goes into the sidereal Pisces. Okay, same with Aquarius. We're going to go through these steps. So if you look at this, we're just going to take the next picture. It's just moved that little bit more. There's the rams moved down. Here's the equinox, and it's pointing to the first star in Pisces. And there it is, 105 BC, the age of Pisces. By constellations, the age of Pisces go on. But if you're doing by constellations, the ages are different time periods. Some are like 1,000 years, some are like 3,000. They take different amounts of time. Okay, and that's, why not? Why does it always have to be equal amounts of time? So this is the argument. But if you're looking at this chart as you're looking along, it's pointing to the first star in Pisces, but the actual sidereal Pisces, the siderealists would say it's not entering the sidereal Pisces till about 5 degrees later when it goes into the sidereal Pisces. So there's the debate of when the Piscean age began. Normally it's accepted as if it would be in the sidereal Pisces. But if you're looking at the constellations, it started at 105 BC. Okay. When it goes into, there's the point of Pisces, and here's where it goes into the sidereal Pisces, the sign of sidereal Pisces. It's at this point that Aries is over Aries, Pisces is over Pisces, Aquarius is over Pisces. All the signs and the signs of the zodiac, tropical zodiac, and the signs of the sidereal zodiac are the same. 228 AD. So this is considered by siderealists the beginning of the Piscean age. Okay, big puzzle here. Well, in everything, there's different ways of interpreting things, but this is about the time the Bible was written in between 228, 256, somewhere in there, AD, several hundred years after Jesus was born. Okay, now the question becomes, Jesus wore the Pisces, wore the fish as a symbol. It was a symbol of being the fishers of men, of going. He had his whole being and manifestation seemed to be the Pisces, the new vision of a Piscean consciousness on the planet, of kindness, of the Savior, of faith. Okay, but if the